But tonight is a very special night where we are recapping WrestleMania 40. Happened over the course of the weekend, Saturday and Sunday night. And my name is Jonathan Dell. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
It's the granddaddy of them all, and it's so much that they can't even do it in one night. It's got to be 2 4-hour chunks across a Saturday and Sunday. There's a lot to talk about. Without further ado, John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from WrestleMania 40?
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And let me tell you something. Our top story from WrestleMania 40 is Cody Rhodes finishes the proverbial story and beats Roman Reigns to win the title. And Roman Reigns is finally knocked out after years and years and years of having this title. This was kind of felt like a foregone conclusion. I had mentioned this before, but they did a lot of interesting stuff throughout the course of the match. Very good sports entertainment, if you will. Dom, what did you think of this match here?
1,316. That was Roman Reigns' title reign in days. So yeah, more than 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was quite as long as Hulk Hogan's reigns, and it also trails Bob Backlund and Bruno Sammartino, but by far it's the longest title reign, world title reign, especially in the modern era of pro wrestling, in the prime time era of pro wrestling from the 90s onward.
For sure.
We'll say. So this had to be a huge deal to get the belt off of Roman Reigns, and I mean, I'll go through what had to happen here. John Cena, The Rock, the Uso brothers, Solo Sikoa, Seth Rollins dressed as the Shield, and perhaps the pop of the night, perhaps the pop of both nights, when the lights went out and you just heard the bell toll, and The Undertaker appears in the ring when the lights come back on. So even if this was a foregone conclusion that Cody has to win, I don't think, especially from the crowd reactions of those live in Philadelphia for this event, I don't think anybody expected the details that the WWE put into this. Whatever you think about it being a foregone conclusion that Cody wins, the WWE knows how to put on a live event, don't they? I mean, they made this interesting and surprising as to how they got there.
You know, Dom, I had this low on my list of matches I wanted to see because I was like, I just know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And admittedly, foot and mouth right now after watching that match, it was a banger. And it had all the fun little goofy callbacks. You had like John Cena and Solo Sikoa who wrestled. Yes. That's the last time we saw them. And then those were the two that were matched up. You had The Rock just destroy Cena, but then The Undertaker kind of come back and do his mystical magic. And also I noticed when Undertaker did his thing, the lights went out, everybody sort of scattered out of the ring one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's like part of the magic or the mystique of Undertaker, is he's able to get everybody out of the ring, but it was really cool. And the crowd really, I mean, the crowd was freaking out when that stuff was happening. And, you know, we'll talk about this later, but sometimes there's points of the shows where the crowd wasn't so hot. So it was good to see them come back to this.
Yeah, well, let's go through all of the cameos in this match late. Now, Cody does wind up winning it with 3 crossroads in order to get the pinfall. This match goes, I think, 30 minutes, maybe 30 and a half, somewhere in there. So this was by considerable amount the longest match of night 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it was longer than everything on night 1, except for another match that we'll get to. But it starts off with with about 9 minutes, what winds up being 9 minutes to go, so about 21 minutes into the match, Cody hits a crossroads. He's going to set up another one. That's when Jimmy Uso hits the ring and super kicks Cody. And then that brings out Jay. And you're like, okay, maybe we could have figured this.
Mm-hmm.
That if one of the Uso twins got involved, the other one would do it. And eventually Jay spears Jimmy off of the ramp because Jimmy went up to meet him.
That looked crazy, too.
Didn't it? Like, speared him off the ramp. They both went through a couple of covered tables that were set up on the floor because the ramp is elevated from the entrance down to the ring. So that was a great looking spot, and those guys are basically out of it at that point. Then let's see here. Roman then tries intimidating the ref, which he had been doing a few times. Applies the guillotine, but Cody winds up tumbling them to the floor and then spearing Roman through the barricade. Now Cody's got the advantage again, so you're wondering, okay, we haven't seen Solo Sikoa all day.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be there. And sure enough, Cody hits 2 crossroads and Solo Sikoa breaks up the third one with a spike. But Cody kicks out of the cover after Solo drags Roman onto Cody. So far, it's not surprising. I mean, Bloodline rules. Okay, the Bloodline's been involved. Then, as you alluded to, we get our first wow of the match. John Cena's music hits. Huge pop for Cena. He takes out Solo Sikoa. Attitude adjustment on Roman Reigns. Attitude adjustment on Solo Sikoa through the Spanish announce table. So we've gotten the Spanish announce table involved here. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then The Rock's music hits. We thought we'd see The Rock because, again, this is Bloodline rules and The Rock is back and The Rock's got to be involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here comes The Rock. He comes to the ring, stares down Cena, and takes out Cena. Big rock bottom. Takes off the weight belt, and here's where we get maybe our second surprise. The Shield music hits, and people are going like, what could this be? Question for you. Did it cross your mind at all that, oh my goodness, Jon Moxley's back as Dean Ambrose? Or
that was the whole reason I thought they did the Shield music. I thought that not Seth Rollins dressed as the Shield, who I just saw 3 hours ago.
Okay, so you thought it was the return of Dean Ambrose, like Jon Moxley. Has Jon Moxley been out of action briefly in AEW for a month or so?
I haven't seen him in a minute, but he's there, and he's pretty adamant that he doesn't. Well, so was CM Punk, but he was pretty adamant that he was not going back to WWE.
So was there in your mind when the Shield, because it wasn't Seth Rollins' music that hit, it was specifically the Shield music that hit, and the Shield that went up on their big video boards. And so it winds up being not Moxley returning as Dean Ambrose, but it's Seth Rollins now in his third match of the weekend.
Right.
This time dressed as Seth Rollins from the Shield.
Mm-hmm.
And, he sneaks into the ring with a chair, and it looks like he's going after The Rock, but Roman has now recovered enough to Superman punch Seth Rollins. So now The Rock is standing tall. Roman is standing tall, and that's when the bell happens. This seemed like the biggest pop of the match, biggest pop of the night. Right?
Oh, yeah.
The Undertaker's thing.
Mm-hmm. No, for
not
sure.
only is that special, and not only is that very much tied to WrestleMania, but The Undertaker, he had not been featured at all. It's like John Cena was here last summer and for some stuff in the summer, some stuff in the fall. Obviously, these other guys are on the active roster. The Rock has been back for a couple of months for the road to WrestleMania. The Undertaker hasn't been involved at all. He's just hanging out doing his podcast. So The Undertaker was a big surprise. And that leads to, now that The Rock is taken out, we have, and this is going to be interesting. Roman grabs a chair. Cody's down and Seth is down, and he looks at both of them. He hits Seth Rollins with the chair instead of Cody. And that allows Cody to recover enough so that when Roman now goes for a spear on Cody, he blocks it with a kick to the midsection, and that's what sets up the 3 crossroads. So Roman going after Seth instead of Cody. So a few neat things to unpack here. Was this special enough? We've talked about whoever wins the belt from Roman, it's not only going to be a big burden to carry, but it has to be done in such a way that's spectacular. Was this spectacular enough?
Yeah, I was shocked. I was really impressed with everything they did. It wasn't necessarily the wrestling that got you there. It was the sports entertaining, if you will. But it was really good sports entertaining.
Yeah.
That got you there. It had all the entrances of all the different people being involved, and it kind of made it was a really, really, really good schmoz, right? So
yes.
But it was really
fun. This was the thing we talked about. Would you, even if it's a foregone conclusion, do you want to watch the match unfold? And we both said it was on our top 5, though it wasn't up at the top. Would you have elevated this match in retrospect?
Oh yeah, for sure. Right now.
Okay.
I think
where would you have put it? Like, how high does it go from 5? Does
maybe
it
2.
Number 1.
Maybe 1 or 2. Oh,
okay.
Based off of what I had before.
This impressed you.
Yeah, for sure.
It impressed me as well. I don't think I would have elevated it all the way to number 1 because I still like grappling. But this was cool. This was the something different that I obviously didn't know about going into the match, that I just was giving the WWE the benefit of the doubt that something would happen.
Yeah.
And so I put it, I think, number 3 on my list.
I
think this delivered.
Yeah, I think that, there were some good spots of the regular wrestling that was being involved there.
Sure,
like,
what's your favorite?
The table spot was great when the table's out on the floor and Roman just puts it back and everyone boos him because everybody loves to see the tables, and it's like,
yes, the folding table being dragged out from under the ring, yeah, and then he taunted the crowd.
No, I'm not taking the table out. He says to them, one thing he did is he said to the camera, "It's my company. I'm gonna send your ass to Hollywood like the rest of the guys because they're all on, they're all on TV now and stuff like that." I thought that was really good, and the fisherman suplex was good. So I liked some of the stuff that was going on for the wrestling, but then eventually, once the wrestling was over, you could see it got elevated by the different entrances of the different people coming in to interfere, and all hell broke loose. How about you?
This was an impressive effort by Cody, and especially Roman, because there always still is a question, at least in my mind, how healthy is Roman Reigns? So for him to wrestle back-to-back nights in long matches, I thought was impressive on his part. Lots of punishing rest holds, which I wrote down because that's good wrestling.
Yeah.
Early on, I was also pleasantly surprised that they kept it a one-on-one match for most of it. We got to see each of these guys perform as athletes.
Yeah,
it wasn't a schmoz right from the beginning.